Welcome to the Natural Cycle. This is a channel where we attempt to solidify the absolute. Today's show is The Self is a Controlled Hallucination. Part 1, The Question of the Self. There is no stable you inside your mind. That statement sounds philosophical at first, but in modern neuroscience and cognitive psychology, it is becoming increasingly literal. Because when scientists try to locate the self in the brain, they do not find it. There is no single structure responsible for identity, no central commander, no fixed observer behind your eyes. Instead, there is something far stranger, a distributed system of prediction, memory, perception, and narrative construction, all operating simultaneously. And what you experience as I may be nothing more than the brain's best explanation of itself. A controlled hallucination that never reveals it is a hallucination. Part 2, the brain is not a camera. Most people unconsciously assume perception works like a camera. The world exists, your senses detect it, your brain records it, but that model is wrong. The brain is not a recording device. It is a prediction engine. What you see right now is not raw reality. It is an inference, a constructed experience assembled from incomplete signals. Your eyes do not deliver full images. Your ears do not deliver complete soundscapes. Your body does not deliver perfect internal information. Instead, the brain fills in the gaps. It prioritizes one thing above all else: coherence. What makes sense is preferred over what is fully accurate, so perception is not discovery. It is construction under pressure. Part 3, prediction is reality. One of the leading frameworks in neuroscience today is predictive processing. The idea is simple, but deeply unsettling. The brain is constantly predicting what reality should be and correcting itself when those predictions fail. Perception is not passive, it is active guessing. The brain generates a model of the world, predicts what should happen next, compares it to incoming sensory information, and updates the model. But you never experience that process directly. You only experience the final result. So what you call reality is actually the brain's best current hypothesis, a continuously updated simulation that feels stable because the corrections are hidden, and inside that simulation is something even more important: you. Part 4, the self is a model. If the brain constructs a model of the world, it must also construct a model of the observer, because the system needs a reference point. Who is seeing this? What body is this happening to? What decisions should be prioritized? So the brain builds a simplified internal construct. This is what you experience as me, but this model is not stored in one location. It is distributed across multiple systems: memory networks, emotional systems, body awareness systems, social cognition systems. The self emerges when these systems synchronize, not because there is a self hidden somewhere inside them, but because their interaction produces the feeling of one. Part 5, the narrative self. There is another layer to this construction. The brain does not just model the present. It builds a story, a continuous internal narrative. What happened to me, what I want, what I fear, what I am becoming. Psychologists sometimes call this the narrative self. It is not memory itself. It is memory arranged into meaning. But memory is not stable. Every time you recall something, it is reconstructed rather than retrieved, slightly modified and stored again. So your past is not fixed. It is rewritten every time you access it. And yet the brain presents it as a continuous life story. That continuity becomes the illusion of identity. Part 6, the self is an active process. Neuroscience has identified a key system involved in self-related thinking. It is called the default mode network. This system activates when you think about yourself, imagine the future, recall the past, or simulate your identity. In other words, it activates whenever you are being you. But here is the paradox. When this network is disrupted through meditation, psychedelics, trauma, or certain neurological conditions, people consistently report similar experiences: loss of ego boundaries, dissolution of identity, a sense of unity with reality, or the complete absence of I. This suggests something radical. The self is not always present. It is an active construction, and when the construction weakens, the self begins to disappear. Part 7, why the illusion exists. If the self is constructed, why does it feel so real? Because it is useful. A unified identity allows the brain to coordinate behavior, predict consequences, maintain social continuity, and organize memory into a stable framework. Without it, experience would fragment into disconnected processes. So evolution favors a system that compresses enormous complexity into a single point of reference. You are one continuous person, even if, underneath, you are not a single object at all. The self is not a mistake. It is a survival model, a simplification that allows a massively complex system to function efficiently. Reality is chaotic. The self creates order. Part 8, when the model breaks. Under certain conditions, the model destabilizes. Trauma, extreme stress, isolation, sensory deprivation, psychedelic experiences, neurological disruption. People begin reporting the same strange phenomena, feeling detached from the body, observing themselves externally, losing continuity of identity, experiencing time as fragmented or unreal. Psychology calls this dissociation, but cognitively it reveals something deeper. The self is not foundational, it is reconstructive, and when reconstruction fails, the I becomes visible as a process instead of an object. The brain can no longer maintain the illusion seamlessly. For a moment, the machinery becomes visible behind the experience. So what are you really? You are not a fixed identity moving through time. You are a dynamic system predicting the world, modeling a body, constructing a narrative, maintaining continuity, and updating itself moment by moment. And the self you feel, it is the brain's most stable explanation of its own activity. A controlled hallucination, not fake, not imaginary, but constructed and believed. You are not inside the self. You are what the self is happening to.